God. Once again, forgot to unmute myself. It's like a curse that I have. Welcome to the LIBERcast, everyone, for this 84th episode. And I have the chance to and the honor to have Francesco Sani with me tonight, and we're going to discuss about sacred principles, feminine sacred principles of self-defense. It's going to be an awesome episode. So everybody who's who's there connecting and the people who will listen to it later, thank you for being there. You're the pillars of the LIBERcast. I mean, I talking to no one is it's not constructive. So I have a beautiful bunch of people who are always joining, and I have the chance to be a bilingual person. So I have the chance to work in the two languages, and I think everybody should be at least trying to learn another language, because it breaks the frontiers of ignorance and apathy. So we are part of the One Great Work Network. Suggest everyone go there. There's like incredible aggregate of people who are working hard, making content, talking about spirituality and the occult and traditions, occult traditions and psychology, and some have the more of a news approach to it. And I suggest everyone to go there. There's so much. There like hundreds of hours of stuff there. So it's all free. You go there and you go and sacrifice a little bit of your Netflix time to go into more of deep understandings about the self and the universe. So everybody go there. So thank you, Francesco, and partaking in the LIBERcast. And I mean, we have to share the information as much as we can, and being constant is one of the aspects that I found not tedious, but I think we have all our responsibility in this world, and one of this is what we are actually both doing, and it's taking in the information, understanding it, and then sharing it with the people around. And in this case, we're using more a virtual approach. It's a global approach to sharing the information. So welcome. And can you talk a little bit about you? What is your path? What is your work? Where we can get it?
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Fred, for having me on today. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting and important discussion. And yeah, so basically I started on this path, I guess around the years probably 2014 and 2015. And at a certain point, I stumble upon certain more important information, like information on libertarian philosophy, and then that led to anarchist philosophy. And also, I want to mention that one part of my, let's call it awakening, it was about something that we're going to discuss today, actually. So it was about, when I got into the libertarian thought, I went also into gun rights and firearm rights. So that was one part of my journey, definitely, that led to then other things, namely natural law, and all things related to natural rights. So in the end, I found Marpassio's material that obviously was pretty much the the biggest influence regarding the concept of natural law and natural rights, and that was about 2017 more or less. And then in
Oh, we have a problem with the connection.
oh, here I am. Okay, so basically that later that year, 2017, I started to put my material online. Then in 2018, I started also with the podcast and with the translations, various translations. Started off, I think, with the shorter videos. Then I got into James Corbett's documentaries, and then Mark Passio's material. I think I translated most of his presentations, and well, that's basically pretty much it. And yeah, did my own personal podcast, and I usually translate that as well, because like you, I usually have people from abroad on, especially the United States and the UK also. So I translate that one too, put subtitles in there, and so yeah, I think that's pretty much it in short.
So let me ask you a question. What was it? Was it just the because you stumbled upon Mark's work, or you already had this in you before?
Yeah, regarding the concept of natural law,
Mhm.
natural rights, yes, it was Passio's work, and a little bit, yeah, I just heard it mentioned in the looking up libertarianism before, so but not very much. I didn't pay that much attention to it. But as far as the bigger picture, yeah, to tell you the truth, even from a young age, I was never really convinced about the system and its legitimacy.
Mhm.
So the problem is, I couldn't really get to the truth of the matter, and so basically, long story short, I tried to, in the end, I tried to conform, because I thought that maybe what I was thinking wasn't right, because it seemed that I was kind of the only one thinking it
I
that
mean,
way. And
it's usually like that.
yeah,
I understand you. I mean, when you're, I was surrounded by conformists and statists in my life, and I've always have this flame inside me. You know, I wasn't a conformist at the younger age. I wasn't like against it. I was against authority at a young age. When I became like more of a teenager, and it was a consequence of a lot of different things. But I mean, even young people, even teenagers, and and younger, can recognize the difference between right and wrong. And it's very telling. That's why I never voted in my life. I do not support government at all. I mean, ideologically and morally and things like that, I'm still I'm still living in it, you know. But I'm completely against it. I would like to be destroyed and built over it. This have to go, and people need to fucking realize that government is violence, and it's very important to know these basic things. And one of the things that Francesco wants to bring is the self-defense principle. And can you explain to people what it is exactly?
so the self-defense principle simply states that every being has a right to defend itself from the violence that has been conducted upon him. So that's basically, and it has the right to use force and to defend him or herself from violence. Force and violence are two key concepts to deeply comprehend when we tackle this subject. And I know you've done videos and you've talked about this in French, which I'm glad, because one of my worries, I guess, it's trying to get this information out there in outside also the sphere of the the Anglo-Saxon speaking, the English speaking world,
Yes.
the Anglophone world, because it is mainly, it's sad to say, but it is mainly from only the United States of America, basically, that we get a higher number of people really understanding this principle, with all the things connected to it. And
I mean,
I don't see
think
this
it's a
very
coincidence.
and I know this comes from it. Actually, traditionally, it was also, even England had that tradition of firearm, not firearm actually, but arms, weapons ownership in the hands of in the hands of the people, actually. And so that's, they completely, they unfortunately didn't go on with it, but at least the US got a better understanding of it, and it's the one and only country in the world with all I don't remember how many nations are there in the world, but of all of them, it's the one and only country that at least has some people in it that do recognize and deeply understand this principle, and it's actually even recognized in their Bill of Rights. So, and I think this is quite this is not good. I mean, not that they recognize it. This is not good that it's only in one geographical area that this is understood at that level, because not even in Switzerland it's the same. So it's different even there. It's not the same as the United States on their understanding of this matter, regarding self-defense and gun and firearm rights. Not just to defend yourself and others from petty criminals, but also to use it against the encroachments of government on governmental encroachments on your fundamental rights. So that's the key issue, I think, that's needs to be deeply understood.
And we had here projects. I don't know if they went through with it, but essentially they're making Canada armless with laws and things like that. So they wanted to prevent people from having like hunting calibers and things like that. So they started with the more exotic weapons, and then they went to hunting equipment. And I don't think it has been true, but people here are scared shitless of weapons, of guns, and I mean there's reason for that, but I mean guns by themselves are not killing anything or anyone. It's the people who are using them, essentially. So it can be used for hunting and having your food, and you can use it for like evil deeds. I mean, and I think if you have a government, an authority, a tyranny who are using war weapons against you, I mean, it's common sense. You know, you have authority that using like heavy weapons and mass controlling weapons, but you cannot have one. You know, it's crazy. You get they want to prevent people from defending their propriety, their body, their family. You know, their propriety, their stuff. You know, I think it's crazy. It's counterproductive in this world. I mean, if we lived into a utopia where there's no violence, we wouldn't need them. But it's not the truth of the matter. We're in a dangerous world, and people are using weapons for bad reason. You know, and I think governments don't want competition. It's simple as that. They want to be the sole owner of the weapons.
Yeah, and mostly for reasons of control, because let's
Hmm.
not forget that all this violence that people are so afraid of, most of it actually comes from governments. So, I
Yeah.
mean, but I wanted also to start by saying something that people oftentimes tend to think, or sometimes like, um, just I wanna say that this self-defense principle and against governmental violence and also and firearm rights and gun rights is not about doing some. It's not really about some storming of doing some storming of parliaments, or some you know uh, go in and cut everybody's head off and then put another
Hmm.
government in that's going to be even worse than even worse than the one that was before. So it's not really about that. It's it's really a serious issue. And that needs to be discussed seriously. I think
Hmm.
there has been some obfuscation with all this, various revolutions that happened in the course of history, and some of which were, I think, morally, it was morally correct to have been, started. Uh, However, others, have led to, quite a few problems. I think, thinking about the French Revolution also. So we have to be. I understand we have to be careful when talking about this topic, because people have an idea in their mind
Hmm.
that, okay, then we're gonna just go out, put up a few barricades, and do the French Revolution 2.0. Um, but
I mean, there's
this.
this is our responsibility as people in this on this earth. You know, it's I mean, this is one of the things that people are indoctrinated to forget. They don't want the people to be responsible and moral. They want to push people where they're gonna be inactive. They're gonna be passive. They're gonna be pacific. You know, and this way they're using culture to impose this disarmament. They're taking the weapons away from the people because they want to get them, like, culturally, to do it themselves by themselves. And this is where the key, this is the influence that I'm talking about there here. And I don't think they can totally take the weapons out, all of them. But most people who are statists, who are scared, they're gonna give them away for security, for garbage, lying. This is pure immorality. Using fear to take the consent from people is evil.
Yes.
And yeah, and yes.
Yeah, no, that's true. Obviously, they try to do that. We see this in the United States also. There's a big push towards not making it culturally acceptable to like owning guns, because they obviously can't do it any other way there, so they sort of try to attack the gun ownership culture, and you see with all the movies and the entertainment, and the famous people
Mhm.
talking against against guns, that we should need a plan to do something about all this gun violence and things like that. So uh, there's definitely they are definitely their right to self-defense is definitely under heavy attack,
Mhm.
and that's for sure. As you said, I don't think they're gonna succeed over there actually.
Oh, I mean, United States, it's if they want to do that, there's gonna be war. This is where it goes.
Yeah,
This
but
is what they want. And I think it happened in so much country before. It's not like it's new. And nothing new under the sun. It's all the same machination. It's all the same system that they're using over and over and over. The only thing that they're doing, they're adapting it for the era. Slavery, at some point, humans said, no, I'm tired of being a slave, like being whipped, and have like a harsh condition of life. They decided to switch to a subversive way of slavery, and it's slavery by consent, by ignorance, and
yes.
it's very, very powerful
Yeah,
because yeah.
that's probably one of the most powerful, I guess.
Hmm.
And as you said, yeah, ignorance is the main. It's the main issue here. It's the main problem, that we keep staying in it, staying in ignorance. So the knowledge is gonna be really the ultimate solution, and applied knowledge, obviously. Um, so yeah, it's not in the end, it's not just because somebody has certain tools that they're gonna free themselves. It's about knowledge and understanding. So, however, part of this knowledge is knowledge about the two main principles that constitute, the basic, the very basis of natural law. So, non-aggression and self-defense.
Yes, and
The
and
basic rules of civilized life.
mhm.
So,
You're absolutely right. I mean, even if we don't specifically know what's the origin of the occult, we're still understanding that the nature of the doctrines and the rhetorics are very life changing. When you get to the knowledge of the occult, it shows you all nature works, the nature of the cause and effect principle. I mean, there's so much to talk about this, and the principle of cause and effect is they're directly connected to what we're saying to us. I mean, if you have people who are indoctrinated into to like I'm searching for my word there, their submission they're kneeling at a master, they're not gonna try to defend themselves against
Yes.
even the worst atrocities, the worst violence that it made against them. And I'm not talking like only war or intimidation and things like that. I'm talking about psychological violence and inversions and perversion of human nature. And the nature of human is very simple for the people. If you're indoctrinated at the younger age, then you're not you're the product of the culture, and it's very hard to get rid of these things that are they're holding on to you because you took this information as truth. And it's very hard to break the conditioning of culture. And the culture is actually the programming of the masses. So if the culture is repressive and it's bullying the people into submission, into fear, people will not try to defend themselves against tyranny because they don't have the knowledge. They're too ignorant to take the knowledge and find it. But they're gonna favor obedience over freedom because of that, because of this ignorance that we are living in, this complacency that we're living in. The problem the problem is not the weapon. The weapons are as such are like lifeless things that if they're unmade, if you take them out, they're not going to do anything. What we need to do is to favor intellectual maturity and spiritual maturity and emotional maturity.
Yeah, which yeah, and talking about that, one of these fears, that have been inculcated into people, it's called hoplophobia. It's actually the fear of weapons. So that goes back to what you were saying, to the part that the immaturity, of most people that actually have these irrational fears. And as you said, this fear is very instrumental to the control system and to the power structure of every nation. Since people would not are not going to constitute a risk for the status quo. So
the problem with that is collectivism. And
and getting that's that's another big one. And but also going back to, for example, the hoplophobia thing, we have to get to that maturity. And this is part of that inner work that everybody's talking about. So one very important part of it, it's also overcoming the fear of self-defense and of the means that will help you to do it in a better way, and even in a possibly in a safer way for you. So we need people have to realize we need force multipliers, because it's a better way to actually defend yourself when you're in need. When you're in need of it, and it can really be the difference between you or your loved ones, living or dying, or your rights being taken away, or maybe you have the possibility to say something about it.
and I mean,
so there is a lot of fear. There is a lot of fear about this topic. It's just a place where, in their psyche, where people don't want to go, because people can't, they have this people want to think they are good people.
Yeah.
And so, somehow good people don't. Yeah, okay, maybe somebody's trying to, mug you on the street and taking your purse or your bag, and you give a, you push back, and okay, that's kind of generally accepted as an idea. However, if it comes to other situations where you have to use physical force, then we start to get into the psychological issues related to that. People just don't want to envision that scenario, because it scares the hell out of them, and therefore that gives um, gives origin to all the other issues. For example, the fear of firearms. I mean, people will actually accept that violence, accept violence being done onto them, rather, in many cases, rather than doing something about it, because that option, in many scares many people even more than actual violence being conducted upon them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess
And
many people
I
think
mean, it
that
can
they're
be
just
scary. Can be scary because
yeah,
people
of course.
didn't know don't know about war. And I'm gonna be very honest with that, with the people there. People don't care about violence because the war and because the violence has a knock on the door already. When it's gonna get to you, you will appreciate being armed and defend yourself and your family. It's simple as that. It's still going back to ignorance. You know, I choose to not, you know, acknowledge the difference between right and wrong. You know, and people do whatever they please, and this is where we at as a species, as a creature who's living on the earth. You know, having common sense. It's not common so much anymore, you know. And people, for me, for you, and for probably people will listen to it, it's gonna be common sense, you know. But I mean, it's not popular, you know. They want to be to have the people who, like, it's gonna be like subservient and obedient, you know. And it's everything starts with the family. You know, if you have fearful parents, you're gonna be probably fearful, or anxiety and things like that. And I think the lack of maturity that we were talking earlier is leading to this. It's leading to the lack of taking own responsibility. And this is protecting your body. It's your responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility. You This cannot be. It's your body. You're not owned by anyone. So it's your it's your duty to take care of your body and take care of your propriety and your family. That's it. That's all. You don't have to justify yourself for it. You don't need a permit to do it. You do it, and that's it. And I mean, just be we have these things that we're talking together. I mean, why most people don't know it? Is it because culture prevented it, or it's because people refuse to look in it and refuse to look into the darkness? And this is one of the questions that we need to ask ourselves as part of society. We're still part of a society, of a collective of people. And whether we like it or not, the decisions that these people will take will have consequence on your life. Your neighbors, your family, who are voting actively, they're keeping you enslaved. If you're voting, you're keeping yourself and everyone else into a cage. It's simple as that. If you think you need license or permit to have to be able to defend yourself, you're a slave. It's simple as that. And truth is not easy.
Well, I just tell you that once I was told by a self-proclaimed anarchist that having gun registration was just a common sense measure in the modern world. So, and that's that reflects pretty much the mindset of European people in general, and I guess Canadians as well.
Yeah. I mean, maybe people don't want to be free, you know. And this is all a lot of things that I thought about before. When you get into the do no harm but take no shit aspect of spirituality, where are you willing to go to defend it?
Take no shit, but with a license.
Oh, you can do it, but you have to pay a permit.
Yeah.
It's crazy talking.
Yeah, it's. And it really comes down to understanding principles, because otherwise you get into all the debates with the statistics, with frankly nonsense arguments that like, oh, what about everybody will have a nuclear warhead in their backyard or whatever. So you get into all the nonsense and all the things people say, and what about this? What about that? What will happen if we just kill each other? If it was like some U.S. States, and we can do that here. People at the first sign of an argument between neighbors, will just guns will come out, and we just start just shooting each other, and so on and so forth, and all this frankly a bit retarded arguments. So it comes down to understanding the principles first. No, there is a reason why we say principles first. So first things first, you have to get into the principle of it, and then you have to wise up a little bit and realizing that all of this, all of the various arguments against this stuff are pretty much basically nonsensical. And we could get a lot into those because people say a lot of things. But anyway, like the main thing is going back to principles. I think a deep understanding of the Second Amendment would help even many people inside the United States that don't know what the hell that is about, and people outside in the rest of the world, because we'll need that, in my opinion. We'll need to really understand that that act that was written in the Bill of Rights, because it leads the way into natural rights and into the two pillars of enlightenment. And people have no idea about what that's really about. All they hear, it's what they hear in the news, so that there is this crazy people, the evil gun lobby that want to cling to their guns and to make business, and it's anti-historical. That's pretty much another thing that I hear a lot of people say. And yeah, generally people here, and probably in Canada too, see the a heavy propaganda against it. I mean, when I was looking up some of the things regarding it on the internet regarding the Second Amendment in Italian, I actually found that even on YouTube they had some anti-Second Amendment propaganda video or something, translated with subtitles, and it was probably by Michael Moore. And at that point, that was one of the points where I start translating, Mark Passio stuff, and I was like, okay, then I guess I'm gonna have to translate the presentations of the Second Amendment. And I did that even before the natural law seminar and all the other stuff, because I thought there was a need. There was really a need to have the counter narrative outside in the ether and on the internet out there. So because it was just full of propaganda.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's everywhere. It's not like it's nowhere. I mean, I'm not listening to TV like cable related like things since years. Almost like 20 years now. And when I'm getting in contact with these publicity, these ads on TV, I mean, am I 5 years old? This is how they treat people now. They're gonna tell them like nonsense rhetorics. They're gonna use like infantilism, like things on there, and it's very, very insidious because people they're getting used to being talked like that. So you have a government who are telling you that you're not responsible enough to take care of your own body. It's crazy now. We're in the twilight zone. Who the fuck are you to tell me what I can or cannot do? What I'm doing with my own body. This is an attack on sovereignty, individual sovereignty. Every time they're doing something, every move they're doing, it's to take your freedom away from you. And taking the weapons from the people is one of them. It's a radical move for a democratic people, for a supposedly democratic country. It's not about choice at all.
Yeah, but it's people would say it's a matter of safety, and we know that they put safety above anything else now. So
Just
unfortunately, that's what we have to deal with, to fight with. So yeah, it's really, this is one topic that I find out with people here, even those that call themselves sort of awake. The self-defense principle is a very big obstacle to go through, to get through to people. Probably the biggest one, but there are others. But anyway, this is one of the biggest in Europe, at least. I'm finding out that I've talked with people about that for quite some time, actually, even before getting into natural law, as I told you in the beginning. So I know pretty well where the mindset is at with all that stuff. And it gets also very subtle, like kind of like in the States, it has been politicized. So if you want guns, you're a right wing, fascist, etc. So it has been highly politicized, even here. And there are also, some of the people who actually have guns and want to keep them, they have fallen for all this stuff, and some of them, don't really don't understand at all what this is about. They think it's just for, either hunting or target shooting, or maybe, if somebody gets into your home and similar, or because they're afraid of immigrants and stuff like that. But when you get into the main reason for being able to defend yourself, that is defending your rights against government, basically against the state, then you find a big barrier there. So
I mean, let me pause a little bit. I forgot to do it in the beginning, but I'm gonna bring that up. So I took the time to go and take 2 minutes to talk about the coming conference of the freedom under natural law. It's completely free. You register on the page, and you can. There's like a plethora of people. Actually, that's some of them. There's maybe like 40 or something like that. I'm not sure about that. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of people with like interesting knowledge. So go there, subscribe, and it's all free. So just wanted to bring that. I forgot. My bad.
no problem. Yeah, that's gonna be another interesting conference. There's gonna be some interesting talks. So
Did and thank you for bringing that up. The this perception of because I think it's an important point, and I covered it a little bit, but when you have experience and you made research, I don't know much about this at all. I'm not against it at all. I'm for people having arms. So it's very for me, it's all common sense, and I agree with most of you what you're saying. And need we need people need to hear this at the same time, because some people feel powerless against it about what is happening around them, and what are we gonna do if you have a family, children, things like that. You're gonna think about this. What do I do when this shit hits the fan, or someone is trying to like to hurt you, like just randomly, just like that. And I think about this as a Canadian, and I don't know much people, and you cannot even have a weapon at all on yourself. Okay, it's that worse. So I mean, if you have a weapon, you put it on your trunks of your car, whatever. But it's tedious. It's tedious, and it's costly to have a permit, a license to it, and it's very people are like, they're afraid, they're scared of this premise, they're scared of this principle.
yeah, I think
And
it's also humiliating, I think, to having to go through all the red tape to get a permit. Like it seems like you are the beggar that's going on your knees to the police station to ask, please, master, that, to you're I mean, you're basically asking the people who are gonna come at your door and mass murder a bunch of you permission to have to have something, to have a tool, an object to defend yourself.
or just for hunting.
Sorry.
Just for hunting
Yeah. I mean,
and
on hunting,
fishing.
they usually go a little bit lighter, at least over here, on regarding hunting weapons, because they know they're not, maybe, because they usually have some, like, limited capacity already, and but what they really don't want, it's like handguns and ARs, so stuff like that. So that those are the demon, the black. They also are called the black rifles. So people are already scared. The big black evil,
Really?
evil looking
Wow.
thing. So that's what they are targeting the most. And obviously, handguns, because they can be hidden on you, more easily than a rifle. So I guess the police are worried about that also. But people have to people have to realize it's not about public safety. All these laws and regulations are not about public safety. They're about controlling the population in case the government would want to implement certain measures that are more tyrannical and that will even constitute a more open violation of and blatant violation of your rights,
Hmm.
as we have seen over here. And I remember I posted a picture on Facebook during the lockdown here, when they were talking about the green pass and all that garbage. And there were some armed people at a restaurant in the US, in some US state, I guess. Well, maybe Texas or Virginia, something like that, with rifles. Actually, they're having a meal at the same time that they were talking about getting the green pass to access restaurants and facilities and all that stuff. And I remember I wrote, guess where they are not going to be able to impose a green pass. And that's true. That's what happened. They never really, they haven't been able to get away with nearly not nearly as much as the stuff that they got away with over here. And we let them get away with it. And
Hmm.
nothing absolutely happened to the people responsible for violations and rights violations, even pretty disgusting ones, done perpetrated by police officers and doctors and nurses, etc. And the precedent is set, unfortunately. So pardon me if I'm not very optimistic about what's gonna come next, at least here on this side of the world. But the precedent has been set, and they know that they can even. I think at the very least they know that they can get away with doing something at the very least similar to what they've done this past 3 years.
Have you
At
seen
the
here?
very least similar, but I'm afraid a lot worse. So
I mean, in Quebec, people like this shit. They like the passports that we had to present. I didn't get them. I didn't got jabs, so I didn't care. Like, go to hell. I don't care. You know. But I mean, I had to have a passport to actually have a license to get the weapon. It's crazy. I'm not getting injected to go to restaurants. It's worthless. Let me see. For Canada look nice. Who are you? Better yet, are you before the law? Even more so is Canada is law. Hmm. Good comment. CL. I don't know.
I'm back.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, it's happening. So from time to time. So yeah, I mean, we here in Canada, people are fucking sleeping at the wheel, essentially, and
All over the
it's
place.
getting
It's all
worse.
over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting fucking worse day by day. You know, and I cannot fucking stand the fact that people can see it, can see tyranny, and realize it, but not doing nothing about it. It's crazy. And part of what you shared is one of an important part of it, because people were fucking dumbed down into slavery. It's like, and we chose the path, a difficult path, a painful path, and people will have to live the consequences of ignorance. And it's not a positive view of it, but it's reality.
Yeah,
There's
there are gonna be
consequences. There's consequences for that.
yes,
So
there's gonna be dire consequences for us not uh, comprehending deeply self-ownership and therefore the right of self-defense. And the consequences must be, will be, think about all that has happened in the 20th century with democide and millions of people killed by at the hands of their own government enforcers. We're talking about, I think more than 260 million estimated. So without not talking about the wars. So aside from war between two countries, we are talking about people killed by their own the agents of their own government. So I mean, it's just crazy how people want to think about the and I'm not saying it's not somewhat of a legitimate concern, because obviously it's kind of it's natural to think about this thing in a way, like, oh, what about the crazy guy that's gonna run around and shooting people, or what about the the street criminal and everything that's gonna invade homes and stuff like that. However, they forget about and they say, oh, okay, so we are not, you can trust regular people to have a firearm, trust only government agencies, but because now we are in this democratic system and or republic or democratic republican system, and it's not going to be like those bad times that happened in the past. And I it's completely insane, and it's completely unrealistic also. And we should never trust. We were indoctrinated into trusting government, always and every time. But we have to get out of that and think that the people that you want in possession of this monopoly on on the illegitimate use of of the abuse of force, so violence. Those people are the same people that will commit mass murder just at a snap of a finger from their superiors. And most of them won't even think twice about it, especially now with all the economic instability and stuff. They have a stable job, so they will do anything. And this is another thing that people don't want to hear when I say it, even in person. Like they will do anything. Like we are at a few orders distance from mass arrests and mass killings. We are just, as I say, we are at a few orders away from it. The orders haven't come, that drastically yet. At least not in some places. But again, we are a few orders away from that. Just once the order arrives, it's gonna be followed.
And to finish on something, I wanted to bring a solution to this. So and at the same time, if people want to see your work, where they can get it, where they can access your stuff.
Okay, so my Or do you want to talk about solutions first?
We can, but I just wanted to ask you this question because I forgot earlier. So
Okay. So yeah, okay. So I tell where you can find my material. Well, as you said, I have a page too on onegreatwork network.com. Yeah, see my name there and my logo, and that's it. And I have my own personal website also, monarchiainteriore.com. So basically, internalmonarchy.com would be the translation in English. And yeah, I'm on some alternative platforms, and like Odysee is the main one. Then Rumble also, and of course I'm on YouTube and Facebook as well. Even on Telegram, I have a Telegram channel. I have a link. All that is linked in my homepage at the website, and even on even on One Great Work Network. So all the links are there.
I'm gonna put your links under the videos afterwards. I'm gonna get them and put them there if you are interested in getting into this work, because I mean I this translation work that you're doing, it's something. I started to translate English and French in both language, and it's a hard work, you know. And
It's a pain.
yeah, it's tedious, and I want to thank you for doing this work that you're done, and you're still doing. I know you have a conference that's coming.
Yes, I will be speaking for the first time, actually, publicly on a. I'll be giving a presentation. It's coming, supposed to come up on. I mean, it's supposed to take place um, um, Saturday, July 15th, and Sunday, July 16th, here in southern. It's gonna take place in southern Italy. So that's gonna be my first public talk, and yeah, depending on how it will come out, maybe I'll even translate it as well. So we'll see.
So let's get back to the solutions and finish with that. So what would be the solution for you that we can do it now? What is a something that we can do when we're ready?
Well, I don't know if I have an immediate solution, something that people can do immediately, apart from really start getting into the knowledge, first of all, of natural rights, and know what your rights are, and that will lead the way into understanding the self-defense principle as well. It's something that you should definitely try to study, especially if you're not from the US and you think this is all crazy, and it's still, it's something that needs to be, like self-defense and tools for self-defense are something that still needs to be regulated anyway, even if maybe maybe a little bit less or whatever. And if you think that way, I suggest you really go into the study of the Second Amendment also, so, and see what the people that wrote that and the other founders of the United States were saying about it, and what were their explanations and their sort of, I guess, philosophy behind it, because that's very important. You won't get the truth from other sources, especially media and academia and school, at least in Europe, or so you really need to go to look it up to look into it for yourself. And you can you can find obviously great material on it. There are the Mark Passio's presentations on it, and there's I think episode. Damn, I don't remember what was the episode, but it's on the Cubbyhole podcast. It's one of the first episodes with that the host there, it's interviewing this person called Dylan McCormick, and it's an episode on the Second Amendment. It's really good.
Nope.
Oops. Okay, so I was saying, another thing that was pretty interesting and it's quite useful. It's one of the episodes of the Cubbyhole podcast on cubbyhole.com, and one of the first, I think. So yeah, with guest Dylan McCormick, that was a great episode to understand the Second Amendment in relation to the self-defense principle, to the natural right of self-defense. So those are some resources, and yeah, again, you can get directly to the writings of some of the founders, and they will explain pretty well and pretty clearly what what they intended to do with the on recognizing that right in the Bill of Rights. So you will see that there's not going to be any confused statements or any how can I say confused ideas regarding it. They are pretty clear about why they enshrine that principle in the Bill of Rights.
So there's a few people that I would suggest and go, and I would suggest like Francesco for sure, but Corey Androulat from Nita.1. He's awesome, and he's have a lot of great knowledge on the abolitionists anarchist side and how it's work. And I think the first thing that we need to do is to align ourselves with truth. And when you align yourself with truth, then there's a lot of things that you're gonna let go, beliefs and biases and things like that. And it's important to stay objective when you're looking to this knowledge, because the right of defending yourself is part of natural law. It's something connected together, and it's intimately connected with morality. That comes from natural law. So the first thing that we have to do is stop lying to ourselves first, and then go see not the truth. And the truth is there for you to take. It's where are you willing to go to unmask the truth? Because essentially what has happened is like Francesco mentioned before, there's a lot of fluffy things, there's a lot of propaganda and things like that, and it's the same thing with the occult. And people must realize that the occult isn't a bad thing as such, and it's an aggregate of knowledge about consciousness and the consequences of behavior of humans. So start with the principles. Start first thing first, and go back and listen to Mark Passio's presentation on natural law, this natural law seminar, and that's a pretty much a good way to start. because he's gonna tell you things how they are. It's simple as that. It's very, very simple, and everybody can understand it. So I would suggest people to know the difference between right and wrong, and what is morality, and what is good and what is bad. This is a good way to start. This start like telling you stories that leads nowhere. It starts with morality and ethical things. So
Yeah, and
thank you. Yeah.
if I may, okay. No,
Yeah,
sorry, if I
sure,
may,
sure.
also one other thing, when you go into the self-defense, the non-aggression principle and the self-defense principle, bear in mind that they really do go together. It's not one more important
Mm-hmm.
than the other, and self-defense is actually it really is the primary the primary law of nature, as some people have called it. So it's not, non-aggression and self-defense is not one more important than the other. At the very least they are equal. So really getting to really understand that, the self-defense principle, I
Yeah,
think
they're
our
connected together.
freedom and our liberty will depend on it, and is depending on it also.
So thank you very much, Francesco, for partaking in the LIBERcast once again. I was looking to it. I was looking for it, and I wasn't deceived by it. I never got into like deeply into this. I try to stay like at some places where people will be like more teachable, and trying to, and these things I needs to be understood from a fundamental aspect. And thank you so much, people, for being there. There's a let's see, like Anne, Rapid, Sophie
Oui,
was there.
si je peux, merci à tous les francophones aussi qui sont été à l'écoute. Donc, merci à
maybe
vous tous.
maybe we can do one in French.
Peut-être.
If you feel comfortable with it. So thank you everyone once again, and see you on tomorrow 11th. I'm gonna have Caroline Riley to talk about shadow work and animus and animo. So be there, and take care, people. Bye.